I was planning my life like it was a game of chess. If I could control my moves and predict everyone else's, everything would go according to plan. And for a while it worked, until it didn't. I sat next to my husband on the plastic armless IKEA chair, and I scanned the cold white room. Fake plants placed just right, as if to try and soften what that space really was. The sound of the door interrupted my thoughts, and I turned my head to see him walk in and take a seat at the desk across from us. "So I've reviewed all of your information and history," the doctor announces. This was now the fourth doctor to review everything. "And it seems like we only have one option left." 4 years. It had been 4 years of tests, procedures, genetic testing, pokes and prods, 4 years of being told in very clinical, very polite language that the problem was me. I had the unique uterus, the scar tissue, the chromosomal complication with a name that sounds more like a law firm than a diagnosis. I had spent more time in waiting rooms than I did my own living room. There were positive pregnancy tests, followed by loss, hope followed by heartbreak. So when he said one option left, what he meant was IVF. My husband excuses himself to take a phone call, and I finish up with the doctor. I swing by the front desk where I'm greeted by a cheerful nurse who hands me a bag of needles and hormones with a list of instructions like she's passing me a coffee. As I start to walk out the door of the infertility clinic, she gives me an upbeat, "Good luck." And I think, out of all the things you could have said right now, that's what you landed on? But I smile and I say, "Thank you." Each morning before the sun rises, I line up my needles, my jars, and my alcohol swabs along the bathroom counter. I have done this over and over again, but I still carefully read the instructions. Same time each day, but choose a different spot. I lift up my shirt, and I notice bruises forming in small constellations across my stomach. I take a deep breath, and I count down. 3, 2, 1, and I push the needle in. After wiping the small drip of blood away, I wipe the tear from the side of my cheek. I breathe again, and I quickly stick the Band-Aid on because I have to get ready for work. Retrieval day finally arrives, and I am equal parts uncomfortable, excited, and nervous. After the Ativan dissolves under my tongue, much of the next 30 minutes is a bit foggy, but what I do remember is ingrained in my mind forever. Small dark room, bright single spotlight, 4 doctors, one with me, the others behind a window. The sedation helps, but my body tenses from the pain every time the doctor pricks my ovaries, retrieving every egg my body has been forced to produce. They retrieve and fertilize 32 eggs. And after 6 long days waiting for those embryos to develop, we get a call. It appears we have one viable embryo that would be sufficient enough for transfer. "I'll set up an appointment with your doctor," the nurse states. 1 embryo. So we do what I do best. We would proceed with a fully medicated, perfectly timed cycle, every step designed to give that embryo the best possible chance. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, and this baby was worth it all. 3 weeks later, I'm back in that plastic armless IKEA chair. I sit waiting anxiously beside a fake plant. As the door opens behind me, the doctor walks in, and before a word left his mouth, I knew. "Lindsey, your body isn't responding to the medication. The chances of a successful pregnancy are very low." I don't hear anything else after that. I just stare at the fake plant, because in that moment, that plant felt more alive than I did. Even with everything done just right, my body still would not cooperate. And I remember thinking, creating life was never supposed to feel like this. So clinical, so cold, so hard. The weeks that followed were heavy. They were filled with lots of tears, hard conversations, silence, and eventually a decision. I was done. I had nothing more to give, because somewhere in those 4 years, I didn't just lose pregnancies, I lost myself. Every failed outcome chipped away at how I saw myself until a quiet voice took over. Maybe you're just broken. And the scariest part, I started to believe it. 2 months later, I had a feeling. I'm standing in my bathroom, staring at 2 pink lines. I don't feel excitement or joy, just stillness, because I had been here before, and I had lost this before. I held my breath at every appointment, at every ultrasound, and at every twinge, waiting for the moment it would all be taken away. But this time, something felt different. As the months passed, I never let my excitement rise too high because I knew how quickly things could change. But 9 months later, after those 2 pink lines, she arrived. My daughter, my miracle. Living proof that life doesn't always follow your plan. And that no matter how hard you try, you can never predict how the story is going to unfold. Because even after getting the one thing that you were fighting for, it doesn't always mean it's going to feel like you imagined. The blackout blinds are drawn, the sound machine is drowning out the scraping from the snowplow as I rock my daughter to sleep. I glance over at the once cute bunnies on the wall that are now starting to feel deeply judgmental. I feel my eyes start to swell, and a tear forms and rolls down my cheek and rests at the crease of my mouth. I quietly and ever so slowly wipe the tear away, and I think, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I had fought so hard to have this baby, so why wasn't I happier? There's a version of struggle that no one really talks about, the one that comes after you get what you've been fighting for. Postpartum depression and anxiety hit differently when it's layered on top of infertility. The voice in my head telling me to just be grateful was relentless. The guilt, it was loud. The shame, even louder. Because how do you admit you're struggling when you finally got the one thing that you prayed and worked so hard for? So I did what I do best. I pushed through it. I ignored it. I eventually went back to work. I smiled. I performed. I tried to be the perfect version of everything, the perfect teacher, the present mom, the supportive partner. From the outside, everything looked fine, but on the inside, there was a war going on. It was one of those perfect fall days where the air smells like change and everything feels just a little bit softer. We decided to go for a walk. Baby, dog, fresh air, simple. Except it wasn't. My husband was getting our daughter set up in the stroller, and I was on dog duty. I open up the car door, and the dog immediately jumps out. No leash, no harness, straight toward oncoming traffic. Instant panic. I'm screaming at the dog, yelling at my husband, back at the dog. There's about 5 minutes that I don't remember, but what I do remember is being back in the car, everyone inside, dog included, and silence. And then I start to cry. Not quiet tears, not a single tear rolling down the cheek. I am talking full body, can't control it crying. I look over at my husband and I somehow get out, I can't breathe. And he casually looks over at me and says, "Babe, you're having a panic attack." And I think, no, I'm not. I'm tired. I'm fine. Because that's what I had told myself for years. I'm fine. But my body knew better. And this time, I couldn't push through it. I couldn't plan my way out of it. I had to feel it. Burnout. That's what they called it, but it wasn't just exhaustion. It was disconnection from my body, my identity, myself. Through infertility and then into motherhood, I had become everything to everyone else and nothing to myself. That panic attack was the moment it all caught up to me. It forced me to stop, to listen, to come back to myself. And in that stillness, I realized something. Motherhood does require sacrifice, but it should never cost you who you are. Because that's not strategy, that's losing the game. And here's the irony. I don't even know how to play chess beyond the basics. But I spent years trying to master a game that was never meant to be controlled, because life isn't about predicting every move. So slowly, I started choosing myself again. I chose rest, I moved my body, I protected quiet mornings. And in choosing myself, I became more present for my daughter. You see, she didn't just make me a mother, she helped lead me back to myself. Through her, I learned how to soften, how to play, how to let go of control. She reminded me that life isn't something to manage perfectly, it's something to experience fully. And that is the ultimate checkmate. Thank you.